Outside in an AMG, right outside. Two-turn baby girl, you know.
Okay, Trent.
Still with the dogs that ain't inside.
Okay, Trent.
Gotta watch the time, 'cause it's flying like I'm outside.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. Today's video, we're just going to get straight into it. We are on a quest for 500 wheel, or as close as we can get to it. So if you guys are new to the channel, this is my 2011 Camaro SS 6-speed car. So as of right now, it is headers, ported intake, ported throttle body, now RotoFab, with a Texas Speed Stage 3 in a cam. And as of right now, the car makes 475 wheel. So what we're going to be doing in this video is we're going to be removing the heads and sending them off to Hooper's Heads here in Houston so they can do a stage 1 port job. So that way we can go back to the GOAT up in Dallas or Fort Worth to get a retune, and hopefully this car will be right there at 500 wheels. So I don't know if you guys want to see this stuff again. I'll probably record some of it, but for the most part, you guys have seen most of the work that's going to go down in my cam install video that I did on this thing. So I'll probably skip through a lot of it and show you guys the important parts. All right, guys, so as you guys can see, it is a new day outside. And if you guys look under the car here, I have the headers. And if we scroll over here, we actually have the cylinder heads off of the car. So I did mention to you guys that I wasn't going to show you guys everything, but just so you guys can see what's going on here. You guys see I have both cylinder heads off the car. Obviously, I just showed you them over there. So this is what we're looking like until we get our heads back from the port job. So only thing that's left to do now is to load these up into the truck, and hopefully we get these back relatively quickly. I say quickly, but it's gonna be at least a month, guys. But for you guys, it'll probably be a few seconds or so. So let's go ahead and get these loaded up into the truck and dropped off for porting. All right, you guys, so we have arrived at Hooper's Heads. This is who's gonna be porting our LS3 Cylinder Heads. So let's go ahead and get these dropped off right quick and let's wait.
3 weeks later.
Okay, so it's been a little bit over 3 weeks now. It's not quite at the normal 4-week mark for the cylinder heads, and I just got off the phone with Hooper's Heads, and my cylinder heads for Nightwing here are actually finished. So I apologize if this video is going to play out kind of choppy. I am balancing this between work and fun, as you guys can see. But yeah, guys, let's go ahead and get these heads, and we can show you guys all the parts that I've collected so far. This is actually not everything, so I'm still waiting on one more thing. And I actually got to pick up a couple more things as well. So we're going to go pick up the heads. I'm going to show you guys basically everything that we got in these boxes and more to come. And then we're going to go ahead and get these torqued down, so that way we can get the car finished. So let's get going.
Later that same evening.
You guys can clearly see it right in front of us. We have our wonderful looking ported cylinder heads. These are, again, my stock castings. You guys can tell. Still dirty right there, which is cool. Not really worried about it, but the front did get some love. Some of the side parts got some love. It's just only basically the bottom half where you guys don't see anyway. That's what we're looking like on the bottom. We did mill these 0.020. So it's supposed to bump up the compression a little bit. The LS3 stock chamber size is usually around, I want to say 68 cc's. With this mod here, it should bring it down to about 66, 67, somewhere around there. So it does bump up the compression just a hair. So now that you guys have seen the heads here, let's go over here. You guys can see we have a bunch of goodies here to put this car back together. So I did tell you guys that I was going to show you everything, so we could just go ahead and start from the top. So the easiest thing, without opening anything, you guys can see we do have some more NGK TR6 plugs to go in the car. We have what should be the heater hose lines for a 2012 to 15 Camaro SS. So I bought these because the original ones on my car, sorry guys, it is kind of hard to see in here right now. You guys can remember, the original lines run directly over the top of the intake, and these ones right here actually run along the side. So cleans up the top of the motor a little bit. So I did get these. Next, we actually have a C6 fuel line to connect to our intake over there. And basically what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to flip the fuel rail so that the fuel connection is on the passenger side now. And basically this also cleans up the original fuel line. Next up, you guys that are pretty fast guys already, you guys can probably guess what this is. This is actually a E85 flex fuel sensor. So we're going to be wiring this into the car, so we're going to be able to run E85 whenever we want to have fun. And of course, we'll still be able to run 93s. So without revealing too much, you guys can see that is definitely a Holley logo. So let's go ahead and get into this box right here. You guys can see we actually have some new valve covers. And I did tell you guys that I wanted to change up the valve covers in my Camaro update video. So if you guys have not seen that yet, be sure to check that out. But yeah, I'm not gonna take these out the plastic just yet because these are gonna be one of the last things to go on. But you guys can see we got a satin black, a little bit taller than the factory valve cover. We'll compare once it's time to put these on the car. And now we have basically the boring stuff, which is the stuff that we need to make the car function to be back together. Obviously, you see it's from TSP. That's only because that was the one website that made it the easiest, honestly, without having to piece stuff too much together. So it's pretty much going to be the same equipment that we put on for the original cam job, besides one thing, and that's going to be these right here. So the first time we used some normal Delphi LS7 lifters, the $180 lifters. These are actually the GM Performance lifters. So these are supposed to hold up a lot better for the higher RPMs. The stock ones, they'll work, but typically they have a reputation for going bad. So we're going to try these out, and then we're going to save the ones that come out of this car and probably put them inside the truck, because the truck doesn't have as high as lift and doesn't get pushed as hard as the car. We have our head bolts, we have header gaskets, and we have cylinder head gaskets. And I believe that's all for the box. I could be lying to you guys. And only extra thing I forgot were the lifter trays. I did get these here locally at Velocity Performance. I did pay convenience tax, and what I mean by that is these are normally $30 on the website, and they're charging $50 for that. The only reason why I paid for it is because I did, as I mentioned, I forgot to get these originally, and they had them in stock. So I thought I'd update you guys to show you what I've done and what I'm doing. Clearly you see we don't have any heads on the car. Basically, the only thing I've done was install the new heater hoses. But other than that, I do have both of the decks cleaned off pretty good. You guys can see that, but I've gone over it with a brand new razor multiple times. I'm gonna just clean out these walls before I do put the heads on there. Good news is, you guys can see we have our lifters out. So the good news is that none of this side, at least, I still have to do the other side. None of those came out damaged, which I didn't think they would because the car wasn't making any noises or anything, but so far so good. Yeah guys, so now I'm gonna put the new lifters in on this side and probably torque this head down and then move on to the other side. Okay, so as you guys can see, I have the driver's side head sitting on top of the block. I'm gonna go ahead and start torquing this thing now. If you guys need the torque specs, I will put them on the screen right now for you guys. So basically we're gonna do, I believe it's 1 pass of 30 and then 2 angles for the big bolts. And then the last 5 bolts on top of the head here, you're gonna save those for last because they don't get torqued nearly as much as the big bolts. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this torque down and we're gonna move on to the passenger side. I got both heads torqued down now, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night. Do gotta get up for work in the morning, so the hard part is done though. Like I just said, the heads are torqued down, so now it's just basically home stretch. So headers and valve covers and fill back up with fluids. So I'll see you guys probably whenever I have time, I guess. So as you guys know from the last clip that you saw, this is currently how we sit. I got some more time to work on the car today, but I think to go ahead and speed up this process, I'm gonna go ahead and just knock out a lot of the majority of things that you guys have seen already and don't really care about. And I'll just show you guys the important parts that I showed you that we have to put on the car, like the valve covers and the E85 sensor and the other parts or whatever. So with that being said, let me go ahead and do that, and I'll catch you guys when I got to a big part. Here's how we're currently sitting. As you guys can see, I have the rocker arms, push rods, all that's torqued down. Do have the headers reinstalled on both sides. Put my power steering pump back in place. So now we are going to continue and do the C6 fuel line mod. But first we need to flip this fuel rail around, and I'll push this toolbox over here so that way you guys can hopefully have a little bit more light. So basically the only thing we're gonna do is take off the 4 bolts that hold the fuel rail to the intake here and literally flip it around so that way the fuel inlet will now be over here, and then our C6 fuel line will connect to that. And obviously we still have a flex fuel sensor to install as well. So we'll go ahead and do this, show you guys the finished product. Okay, so here is the final product with the intake sitting on top of the motor. And technically it's not final because I don't have the fuel line connected yet, but you guys can see how it's coming together. Before, if I can find the fuel line here, you guys remember this fuel line used to sit all the way across the intake, basically an eyesore, so no longer have to deal with that. And now we have the shorter fuel line that's gonna go right here and basically clean up the top of this engine a little bit. So now I'm gonna go ahead and get this tightened down, and I guess I can start running my harnesses now because you guys can see it's starting to look like a motor again. At this portion of the video, we're going to be installing the Holley LS valve covers. We do still have to wire in the E85 sensor, but I figured I'm going to install that separately in a whole separate video. So for those that want to figure out how to wire that in, please check out the other video. But yeah, guys, so let's go ahead and take a look at these valve covers. So here we have, this looks like the driver's side valve cover. As you guys can see, it is just in that satin black finish. Gonna go perfect with Nightwing. We have our hold down bolts here, looks like for both sides. And then these are where the coil packs are gonna go. And I'm actually gonna be reusing the hardware for those, but that also means I gotta figure out how to route my harness. So go ahead and get these on the car, give you guys an update. Okay, so here's what we're looking like with one side on, obviously the driver's side here. I took my time putting all this together because I did not want to scratch up this finish. But as you see, we have the coil packs on. I just need to tie up my harness here so it looks a little bit prettier. And just need to put my spark plug wires on. I did already install the NGK plugs. You can kind of see the end of it right there. One thing I will say for the Camaros, you guys can see the AC port is literally right above that coil there. So to get that top bolt mounted, it's a little bit of a small hassle. You have to kind of push up against the AC hose there to get some room, but nevertheless, got it installed. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the passenger side installed and get this E85 sensor on the car so that way we can hopefully get this thing fired up.
12 o'clock midnight.
The motor is fully assembled now. I went ahead and just put the camera down and got this thing all back together because it felt like it was just taking forever. But the only thing I did not get to do was the E85 sensor. It is wired in. As you guys can see, that's the wire for it. It's ran to the ECM and everything. But unfortunately, the connector, when connected to this fuel line with the fuel rail, how I have it set up right now, it ends up binding that line and kinking it. So I didn't want to run it and possibly end up with a fuel leak. So I'm gonna figure out a workaround for that. But for now, I'm gonna go ahead, get this thing primed, or get the oil system primed and see if she fires off. So